Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, Boogie like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Initially, certainly we gave ourselves a chance. It was a good ball. Unfortunately, I think Quincy made a phenomenal play going and attacking the football, similar to Julian a couple days ago when he was in here attacking the football. I think our DBs are doing a great job of locating the football, and we got cleaned up on the offense side to see it and give ourselves a chance.
Is that a competition for that spot opposite like Kool-Aid when you guys are in the sub position?
Yeah, certainly we're rotating those guys. There's a lot of opportunities for a lot of guys. We feel like that group's competing at a really, really high level, and Lonte can obviously go outside, inside, and he kind of plays that game. But all those other corners are getting great reps.
How do you go about as far as calling plays like RPOs? Really getting the quarterback, a couple of quarterbacks had nice runs would have been plus 12, plus 15. Is that depending on the game plan and the opponent when you're calling those type plays? I know you utilize that a lot with Hurts.
So today's installation certainly had some QB run game, as everyone saw. It's available to us. Obviously, there's a time and place for it based off the circumstance of the game and the team you're playing. Obviously, you don't want your quarterback to be getting hit a ton in those situations because you're creating more physical opportunities for him. But when the opportunity presents itself and we feel like it can be a clean look for him, he can protect himself in a positive way, we'll continue to utilize that.
Pete Werner's been a productive player, but hasn't had maybe those interceptions or the forced fumbles. Could the system maybe up that just the statistical production for him?
It's a great question. Potentially from a pressure game, steal a couple more sacks. DeMario does such a good job in the rush game. I think there is an opportunity for Pete to be kind of the counter move to that. But Pete's doing a phenomenal job. He's doing excellent.
That's 2 interceptions in camp for Quincy Riley. Obviously, that's a good thing for Brian. What do you like about him?
Yeah, he finds the ball and he attacks the football. I think that's one thing that we saw on film coming into the draft process. He's a ball guy. That's what you need on the back end. Mistakes are going to happen, but when you create turnovers, those impact games.
What's the difference between the developmental period and just like practice?
Yeah, just at the end, it allows our veteran players to kind of transition into their end of practice work at the end of practice, and so it allows those guys to go, and the young guys can kind of steal reps, focus on them. We can maybe control the pace a little bit, have a little bit more teaching within that, where the position coaches kind of steal some more communication.
Who's the quarterback for your developmental reps?
It's whoever the third guy is for that day, and then we just continue to rotate him. Yeah, this has been a big-time camp for Kool-Aid. He's played phenomenal. His confidence every single day. He's just making a ton of plays, and you can just see his ability to transition in the coverage game is really, really good.
He's obviously somebody.
Shout out to the fam, man. Appreciate y'all for being in this one. Welcome. Now rocking with the Sports Cone with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. Shout out to the mighty Who Dat Nation, the great Saint Tank. What's happening, peoples? All right, it's the middle of the week, man, and hey, man, day 7 in Saints camp. A lot of things twisting and turning. Coach Moore letting you know the full scoop on it and talking about some of it. The Saints, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about in this Hump Day edition of the Coma. Much love to the family. Please do me a service. Hit the like button. If you're not a sub up and join the best of the Who Dat Nation, the great Saint Tank in full effect, man. And this one, man. And what can I tell you, man? We getting it going, man. It's cracking going on at the camp. It's competition going on at the camp. It's new people at the QB position at the camp. We got a new defense install we trying to do at the camp. There's fighting and jostling going on in the special teams at the camp. So it's a lot of new stuff, and it's shaking away all the funk of the last 4 years as the Saints rev up to be a competitive and positive unit this year. And that's a lot to say, man, in this one. So a lot of great things to talk about as Coach Moore opens the broadcast, but a lot of good news, man, in this camp. So anyway, man, let's hop right into it, man. Shout out to all y'all. Good to see y'all, brother Ro, brother Bastion. Big ups to you, my brother OG Desi. Shout out to my queens in this thing as well, brother V Griffin in this thing. St. Doug, how you doing, sir? KT, what's happening, my brother? All right, big ups to you. Good to see you, Daniel. Shout out to you, OG Jerry. Shout out to my brother OG Jerry. Oh yeah. That's right. He said, yeah, that should be a song. You know what I'm saying? What's up, Jaden? Shout out to Jaden, man, as well. Sports co-man in this thing, man. Anyway, let's hop right to it, fam. Let's get right into it, man. And we seen a few things popping. Let me cover some of this is by way of NOLA.com. They had a nice little boil down breakdown of camp that happened. I seen some highlights and was looking at some stuff online as well, dealing with it. And it's pretty much rolling out the way we talked about, man. In the prior to camp rolling out about the quarterback battle. And you got to give Kellen Moore, a compliment because he's actually giving 3 quarterbacks an opportunity to play in first team, right? He really is. It's not a fake competition here. He's really trying to find the correct guy, and Jake Hayner's the third guy here. He's the most senior of the group, 3 years in. Has he learned enough needed to kind of jump ahead of the competition and kind of move up from what people see him as 3 into maybe the 1 or 2? Now, listen, I don't want to underestimate anybody, but I got to give Kellen Moore a compliment on that. The fact that he actually is allowing, early on in camp thus far, the quarterbacks an opportunity to have a fair competition. And that's actually a very positive thing, right? What's up, brother DeWright? Shout out to you, bro. Good to see you in the chat as well. And this is something that, I welcome. I'm a big competitive guy. I love competition. I think that makes everybody better. I hate monopolies. I really despise that. I'm a person that believes in competition, and we got to give them credit for all of that, man, to be honest with you. So anyway, let's jump right into this, man. Shout out to NOLA.com as they talked about and kind of talked about a lot of the things that were happening in camp to kind of qualify things in the statistics. As Hainers, he had an opportunity to step in at the first team, right? Look crisp on the day through a career high 16, camp high anyway, camp passes, which was 16, pretty decent. Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shuck also had sharp days. The 3 appeared to have the collective best day of camp thus far. Here are some of the numbers. I've seen some of the highlights, but the numbers also kind of highlight the highlights, if you know what I mean. Hainer was 11 of 16, right? And overall throughout camp thus far, 24 of 34, respectable. Rattler was almost perfect. He was 9 of 10, 33 of 47 throughout camp. And Tyler Shuck was 3 of 5, 20 of 35. But as you know, the further down the totem pole in terms of reps, the third guy gets the less reps, which is why you see Hainer taking advantage. So Hainer's extended work allowed him to gain ground. On a number of pass attempts, he lagged behind the others while working with the third team offense. The 26-year-old found a rhythm earlier when he hit a snag, hitting Chris Olave deep down the sideline. He also navigated pressure in the pocket well, finding checkdowns and throwing the ball away when necessary. So over a 9-play drive during a 2-minute drill, Hainer's most impressive performance on moment came when he hit Kevin Austin Jr. for a first down with Kool-Aid. McKinstry had broken up a deep shot to Rashid the play earlier. Now, Hainer tested McKinstry again immediately, and a completion helped pick up a 63-yard field goal attempt that Charlie Smith missed. Charlie's been shaky, to say the least. Last time Hainer received first-team reps, however, Rattler made sure he wouldn't be forgotten. Now, Rattler ran the second team and was nearly perfect on those 11 on 11s, with his only incompletion coming on a short pass that running back Devin Neal arguably dropped. He dropped the pass, should have caught it. Now, 7-on-7, Rattler did throw his third interception of camp. It was Quincy Riley again, picking them off on the underthrown ball. But unlike the previous turnover, Rattler did not appear to be bothered by it. Instead, Rattler's overall composure led to several flashy plays even before the interception. Rattler played to the crowd after a notable gain with his legs by nodding his head to the family members and yelling, "Yeah, yeah," on the sideline. So after the turnover, Rattler bounced back with a dazzling deep throw to guess who? Mason Tipton. That resulted in the touchdown. So Rattler also did something that Haener did not. He led the Saints to a touchdown drive during the team's situational work, which was capped off by a long run from running back Velus Jones Jr. So we know Velus is a guy nobody really talks about because Velus basically is a kick return option for the New Orleans Saints. So anyway, let's continue to go with Haener and Rattler each showing out. Tyler Shuck showed some flashes, albeit with more limited workload. The rookie, for instance, did not get a chance to run the Saints situational drill until the development period of practice nearly ended. So that's what it is. So, but Tyler Shuck did demonstrate more of a willingness to be aggressive, something he's avoided since camp began. Now, Tyler Shuck found Shaheed on a corner route with the wide receiver maintaining the completion through a hard contact from cornerback Rajon Wright. He also hit Brandon Cooks near the sideline on a tough throw, although the play would have been called for holding. As we go, it was interesting to monitor where Tyler Shuck's day was the start of letting it fly a little bit more. That hasn't been an issue for either of these quarterbacks. They also have more experience than Tyler Shuck. So Wednesday, all the quarterbacks ran relatively smooth. The penalties were limited, and when there were incompletions, they tended to be the result of drops, smart throwaways, or good plays by the defense. So there you go. That's some of it there as the quarterbacks were able to orchestrate and play well on Wednesday, and that keeps the competition moving along actually pretty well. So, what could you say about that except they handling their business? So more big plays from Mason Tipton and handling of the business, right? So as you can see some of them highlights on screen currently where you can see the throws down here and it's showing some of the plays from camp. So although, like we said, it would be interesting. We kind of looked at it and thought it would be basically Spencer and Tyler going at it. Third quarterback in is Jake Haener. And I see it's early on. And can he keep that same intensity? That's what I'm looking for to see if Jake Haener, who's, he was drafted as a quarterback to ultimately a lot of people at first thought he could be the future of the team. He's he's an inexperienced vet of this group. And 3 years of being in the NFL should count for something, right? Let's not pretend that Jake Haener is just like some guy that lucked up on the NFL. He was actually a decent and productive quarterback in college at Fresno State, even though Derek Carr kind of handpicked him to be the guy that he brings in here to kind of follow behind him. Don't do that. But outside of that, Jake Haener's a smart dude. He don't have the biggest arm in the world. He does have a degree of accuracy, but he has not been able to put together completely. So is his third year? Yeah, the rookie year, you got the struggles. He went through the sophomore year. Is the third year when the game slows down and he picks up his third system to operate and have some success, right? A lot of people not picking Jake Haener to be the guy that be in there, but hey, let me tell you something, man. He's trying to show us something. Although if I had to put my money on it, and I'm not a betting or gambling man, I would definitely place my money on Spencer Rattler, right? No disrespect, Jake Haener. It's just what it is. All right, anyway, man, let's keep it moving and rolling, man. On the next one, man, as we kind of look and see that the Saints did make a transition. We talked about in a previous one of the reports earlier today that the Saints had tried out a bunch of people today, and ultimately they decided on one. They did have a spot open from the releasing of Josh Ball, the backup offensive tackle. We all ultimately thought that the Saints would utilize this time to be able to go and see if they could find a veteran offensive tackle to kind of steady the room. We kept saying it should be an offensive line, but hey, they picked up a guy named Jonathan Mendoza. I don't know who this man is. We did do the breakdown and boil down of it, but here's the scoop from New Orleans Saints as Mickey Loomis is announcing the team, the club signed Jonathan Mendoza to a 1-year contract. Now, Mendoza, 6'9", 310-pound offensive tackle, joins New Orleans as an undrafted free agent. He's from New York, and he played 5 collegiate seasons with Yale, so he got very intelligent. from 2019, 21, and 23, and Louisville in 24. His first season at Yale, Mendoza earned first-team All-Ivy honors as a part of an offensive line that helped the Bulldogs finish second in the Ivy League in scoring offense. It was a co-recipient of the Frederick Woodrow Woody Knapp Memorial Trophy awarded to the outstanding team member who exemplifies cheerful disposition, leadership, and unselfish devotion to others. So we got a football angel on the team now, according to this. During his graduate season at Louisville, well, guess who that he must have played with, right? Mendoza started all 13 contests at right tackle, anchoring an offensive line that was powered the Cardinals to a Sun Belt appearance. So there you go, Jonathan Mendoza. All right, welcome on in to the Saints. So anyway, we were kind of looking at this and saying to ourselves, hey, man, could we get a Lyle Collins or something like that? And this guy is even less. This guy is even less experienced than the other goddamn guy we got rid of. So, hey, man, they might see something in this guy. Like I said, I would prefer to have veterans to back that thing up. But in the end, this is Kellen Moore and them says, hey, man, I like this kid. Let's see what he can do. So we'll see what Jonathan Mendoza can do for you in the Who Dat Nation. So I'm going to be interested in seeing what happened there. Like I said, I was like, man, they're looking at a bunch of people. A lot of these people, 2 punters and everything. That was very unique to me for the Saints. They had 2 linebackers, 2 punters, 2 DBs, and 2 tackles. I was like, okay, now where the rest of them at? There ain't no rest of them. That's it. So I don't know, man. We'll see how it goes, man. The guy might actually be pretty good. Only time will tell, right? We'll see. All right. Anyway, let's keep this thing moving along, man. Let's talk about this, man. That kind of hit the team, man. So Juwan Johnson, 3 new injuries at Saints camp that happened today. And it's just not good, right? 3 injuries hit the team here in training camp. Shout out to Canal Street Chronicles. Training camp started great for the Saints. One of the reasons for that has been the avoidance of injury. So far, JT Gray was the first player to go down with an injury. The hope was that the injury bug would not start to spread. We've seen this in the past with the Saints, and if it can get scary. It seems like Gray's injury was minor, and he should be back soon. But 3 players were now dealing with injuries. Juwan Johnson is one of them. So you can see right here, shout out to Nick Underhill. He says, Trayton Welch, Juwan Johnson, and Ridgeway got hurt in practice. It's definitely not the news you want to hear as you hear some of these guys get hurt. So the play, and of course, we recognize like the tight end group was, what's up, Bev? Shout out to Beverly. Much love, Bev. Good to see you in the chat as well. Yeah, it's interesting, man, how we see some of these cats, man. It's unfortunate, like the what's up, Tim? The Saints is really weird, right? The Saints tight end room had a bunch of people. It was Juwan Johnson, Foster Monroe, Taysom Hill, right? Couldn't count Taysom. We know Taysom was hurt. Thought you was going to get Foster back. Both of them on the pup. So Taysom and Foster on the pup. Then you had Jake Stahl, the tight end that caught a handful of catches right throughout his career. He's mostly a blocking guy. You have the 7th-round draft pick, Matavo. You got Trayton Welch. You had Michael Jacobson, and you had another guy. So now Juwan Johnson's banged up. You got Foster Monroe and Taysom Hill listed as tight ends are out on the pup list. Then you got Trayton Welch, who is one of the tight ends on the back of the depth chart. And the Saints, man, is getting rough. It's getting kind of hectic for the Saints in the tight end room. And it almost looks like, we might have to go back and see what old boy want for, what kind of money old boy want who was just here. So I don't know how how serious this stuff is, but man, it usually limits what you're going to do and kind of gives you more of a conservative approach with some of these guys, especially your best tight end in Juwan Johnson. So let's get into it. He suffers worrisome injury during training camp. Juwan Johnson's groin injury adds to the Saints tight end concerns, although he's expected back in a few days. A groin issue is always a problem. The Saints face a potentially tricky situation as the depth to the tight end position dwindles, with Juwan Johnson suffering another setback during Wednesday's training camp practice. Johnson, who signed a 3-year, $30 million extension this season, left the season with a session with a groin injury, later reported as not serious. He expected to only miss a handful of days, right? The schedule worked slightly in his favor. The Saints held one final padded practice on Thursday before a day off on Friday. And if Johnson responds well to treatment, he could return to the field as early as Saturday. Still, the tight end unit was depleted. Even the shorter absence further raises concern. So Jordan Schultz says Juwan left practice, as you can see right there. And then you drop some of the particulars. Now, both Foster Moreau, Taysom Hill remain on the physically unable to perform list, and veterans Trayton Welch also left Wednesday with an unspecified injury that left the team with only 4 tight ends: Jake Stahl, Seth Green, Michael Jacobson, and Maliki Matavo, all fighting for a roster spot. Stahl made the most of his opportunity, catching several passes from Jake Hayner during team drills. So there you go. Saints running a tight end room rather is getting hit with the injury bug early on. And, it's just too bad. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, the good news is that Juwan Johnson's injury is not what you would consider serious, and they're expecting them back. But yeah, let me tell you something. When you got groin issues like that popping up, man, you kind of gotta watch that thing, man, because that has an opportunity to create problems depending on how you treat it moving forward, right? And we don't need none of that going on. So it is what it is currently. All right, anyway, and that's just a few of the things right there to talk about. And speaking of which, tight end position, let's talk about this one here from the Saints Wire, as it talks about insider shares the latest intel on 2 Saints free agent targets. This is Jeremiah Trotter of the Saints Wire. Shout out to them. And it's basically talk about what Nick Underhill's interview he did not too long ago with Ian Rappaport. And Ian Rappaport, the insider for the Saints, among many other teams, were talking about some of the recent visits of players like Noah Fant and cornerback Asante Samuel. His thoughts on these 2 people moving forward and how ultimately these guys could impact the Saints. So he said, okay, well, first of all, Noah Fant, he's taken some visits. He's got some interest. I would say there's a couple of different places he looked at. Obviously, this is one of them, point to the Saints facility behind him. Miami has a void at the tight end. I wonder about that one. That seems to make sense to me, but he's pretty good. He's a pretty good player who's available this time of the year, like he's going to get some money. So that's some of the stuff that we did talk about. Like when he left, people was asking, okay, what happened? Well, that was a part of it. You don't usually see a tight end, very rarely. You'll see a tight end like a Noah Fant, a pretty good young prospect in the prime of his career, get put in the street. And then ultimately, you see at that time where he got put in the street. So most of the teams already got their rosters pretty much made up going into camp. So maybe a handful of them might be having not only the position, but the money to be able to play or pay a guy like a Noah Fant who wants the money as well as the years and perhaps the opportunity to be the guy, right? Wants to be the guy, maybe not a compliment to another starter. So the Saints do like Noah Fant, but Noah Fant is kind of doing his own thing right now. So anyway, to carry that through, in regards to Asante Samuel Jr., Rappaport emphasized that his situation doesn't come down to money so much as it is health after the cornerback underwent neck surgery back in April. He says, quote, Asante Samuel Jr. is different because he's a really good player who would have been a top free agent dealing with a little bit of a medical issue and had surgery, neck, I believe it is, and just has to get healthy. So like that's someone who I think he says, I don't know how much money he's going to make, but that's someone could buy pretty low. And if healthy wise, it works out. If he gets clear, he's an excellent player who would help any defense, right? So the Asante Samuel thing, like we talked about, the Saints met with him, and of course he has he's familiar with Staley, DC. So what does that mean, right? Well, it kind of if Asante Samuel is that guy, right, that would kind of put us in the mind frame of what we've seen. Not exactly, but the neck injury, we had a guy that was here, it worked out for him, right? A man that had a history of being injured, came on a 1-year prove-it deal, had surgery on his neck after he signed the deal, gambled on himself, and ultimately got the money. I'm talking about Chase. Young. So Chase Young was able to do his thing. Can Ashanti Samuel, who had neck surgery, come to New Orleans and on a prove it deal and an opportunity to learn or earn more? Now, the longer you wait, it could be problematic because more reps are happening for the Saints DB, and you're seeing Quincy Riley getting interceptions, and Quincy Riley is steadily making a name, making a name for himself in there. So that's what I'm saying, man. If you one of these type of players, if you're healthy and you can pass the physical, you don't want to wait too long. you don't want to wait too long to catch on to a position, i.e., like a Justin Blackmon. When Tyrann Mathieu retired, Blackmon was there the same day or the next day. It was something instantaneously. Like when Tyrann retired, and then the same day or the next day, Blackmon is signed to come in here, and then he's getting interception. He got interception in camp, making plays and making himself stand out, showing that, hey, man, just give me the opportunity, right? That's a part of it. So when camp hits, you already behind because guys are already competing and they have the eyes of the coaches. So the coaches and the evaluators can only evaluate who they have. So if Ashanti Samuel is ready to go, man, camp would be good. And then again, there are others that wait until camp is over with and then get in once the cut's happening, and they kind of scan up and down who's available and they feel like this guy can step in. But then again, if that is indeed the case, you're still behind the 8 ball because other guys have that much time on you. So we'll see where it all ends with Ashanti Samuel Jr. But either one, Noah Fant or Ashanti Samuel Jr. would be big helps to the Saints offense and defense. No doubt about it. Fant would definitely be a big asset, a big red zone weapon, a physical player with a degree of athleticism that would help out. Also provide safety blanket, a double safety blanket for our young quarterback. He playing off of Juwan Johnson. If Juwan Johnson has an injury, then Noah Fant can step in there and do his thing, right? Because we don't know, even though we had a report of Taysom working off to the side, we don't know how close Taysom is to actively contributing for the Saints offense. Foster Monroe's another guy that's banged up, So whoever you get, you and the Saints ain't jostling with no money. They got $20-something million of cap right now. So the other guys, we'll see. We'll see what Ashanti Samuel's doing. We know Noah Fant had took a visit to the Miami Dolphins recently, and he went to Cincinnati, he went to Saints, he went to Miami, and he's trying to see if he could find the best deal. And a lot of people, Indian Rapport said that, and there was a few other guys that also mentioned insiders think that Noah Fant might sign with the Miami Dolphins. So because of their quarterback tight end situation, I think they were able to Darren Waller, the tight end that killed the Saints that used to play with the Raiders. He was a guy that they brung down there. They got a few other inexperienced tight ends, and Noah Fant's thinking, man, I can upgrade that whole tight end situation down there. So there are a few other people that probably look more attractive from that standpoint as far as the tight end position going. Could be a little bit more money. So regardless or not, man, we just gonna keep an eye out on that thing. So anyway, man, it's looking pretty promising right now, man, to talk about it. So Juwan Johnson is okay. That's a good deal. We'll see what Jonathan Mendoza means to the Saints line. I really don't know. I was looking at footage of him play, and he's solid. He's just unproven. He's an unproven commodity, and you never know how that's gonna sway, right? All right. Anyway. All right, let's go on to the Who Dat Nation, man, in the comments and questions in the chat. Shout out to you, dog. What's up, T Dirty? Shout out to my brother T Dirty in the building. Appreciate you as well. All right, yeah. KT saying, what's up, Bullet Family Travel Vlog? What's up, brother Philip? All right, he says, man, they really are going to need Noah Fant. Yeah, I hear you on that, bro. It's a matter of competing for a better team. I mean, in terms of the position, the tight end position. I mean, we already invested in a guy like Juwan Johnson, who's the TE1, $30 million. I think his contract is ranked 12th among the NFL tight ends. So the Saints already made their bones. Fant might feel like he is a Juwan Johnson type. Now, I haven't compared the statistics together to see if his stats, I think they're about what and what stat-wise, but he might feel like he's a $10 million tight end. He might feel, and I doubt the Saints are going to do that twice. I don't know if they're going to do that twice. They're looking at Matabo as the future. So we'll see how that all plays. Philip says, I got no problem with Jake. Maybe Kellen can take him to the next level because he always looks good in practice. And maybe even Kellen is the missing piece. You never know. Good coaching makes a hell of a difference with some of these players, right? We know that all players and all coaches are not created equally, right? We all realize that. So, like I said, man, what Kellen Moore could be able to do with a team, the Saints, most of these guys coming in on the scheme change, offensively, what they got going on, defensively, what they got going on, special teams wide, there's a lot of flux. So as the comfortability a lot of teams, a lot of players are, had from these last 4 years, they don't have that. You got to show the new coaches that you're worth the contract that you have, right? As opposed to what you've been doing before. So you got all these new people here. You got to show up and show out again. So a lot of movement in terms of people, like how it was when some of these teams were stale and they've been doing the same thing over and over again. They got a little stale. Now you kind of got freshness, a new coach in the building is shaking everything up. So it's pretty cool to see that, man, too. KT says, can Cedric Wilson Jr. work out another wide receiver? Can we Cedric Wilson Jr. and work out? You mean cut? Is that what you're saying, KT? Can we cut Cedric? I don't think the Saints going to do that right now, brother. They ain't going to cut Cedric Wilson Jr. because Cedric Wilson Jr. Is a guy that Kellen Moore is familiar with, right? He's familiar with Cedric Wilson Jr. And it could be said just like Philip said about one of the family members just mentioned about Jake Hayner. What if it's just coaching? Better coaches can unlock these guys and they can thrive better in a different system. Perhaps the guy just didn't know how to utilize them. He didn't know how to speak to these players. We all know these coaches are different, right? What if that's the case with Cedric Wilson Jr.? We knew in the past Cedric Wilson Jr. had some productive years. What happened last year, right? He had some injuries and stuff like that. He looked bad enough. I was saying for him to get cut last year. But him knowing Kellen from the previous regime, maybe that is something that can kind of have a resurrection, so to speak, or him to be revitalized or rejuvenated in Kellen Moore's system. You see what I'm saying? Because he's a senior member of the system. Them veteran years got to count for something, right? People want to see Bub Means take the step because Bub has speed, physicality. They won't see Bub takes the step. But Cedric Wilson is on the outside looking in. He got to be, depending on how many they keep. Most people think they'll be 5. If they keep 6, he might have a chance. But outside of that, man, if they keep 5, I think the top 3 guys, Bub Means and Dante Pettis. And I say Pettis because Pettis the returner. He'll make it because of the returner. And that's my 5 I think the Saints keep unless injuries impact them and things shift up before they make the final say. But that's just my little early estimation on it. All right, Marley Mall. Shout out to my boy Marley Mall. Pelicans Nola is in that thing, man, as well. Yes, Desi said the same old injury story. Nah, not the same old, not just yet. JT Gray, the report is promising on JT Gray. The report is promising on Juwan Johnson. So not so much right now. And if stuff like that happen, you want to be able to, you prefer for it to happen early on as opposed to it happening later on. You see what I'm saying? You won't get ahead of it. So I can understand why people be like, hey, man, here we go again. Here we go again. King Eternal says Juwan Johnson does not surprise me. I tried to hold my tongue on the topic, but he's always hurt. I think, yeah, the Saints kind of, I ain't going to say rolling the dice because they've seen enough of Juwan Johnson, right? And what I'm saying by that is that we had all this time, right, to watch Juwan Johnson rise up through the ranks as an undrafted wide receiver in his first year, then being converted to a tight end in his second year at the bottom of the depth chart, then rising up from the bottom of the tight end depth chart to ultimately becoming tight end 1 and earning the contract. That's a respectable thing because it takes a certain amount of heart, dedication, and consistency and thoroughness to get to that point, right? Now that you secured the bag, so to speak, now it's time for you to secure your legacy. Can Juwan Johnson become one of the best Saints that ever was? Now, we know Juwan Johnson can catch. We know that he can run routes. We know he needs to work on his goddamn blocking. That's a part of the game that I was just steadily upset with Juwan Johnson with last year, is that his blocking is not good as it's supposed to be. It is, but he can be a lot better in his blocking. He a big old tight end. He needs to do better in his blocking. But outside of that, Jawan Johnson is a guy that if you throw him the ball, he going if it's a tough throw, he going to catch it. If it's an easy throw, it's a 50-50 shot because he do suffer with concentration drops. He'll catch the most difficult ones, but drop the simpler ones. Like it'll be one where he go out on a short curl, little comeback route for 3 yards, and you throw him the ball and they drop in his hands because he trying to find out what's around him before he catches the ball. Secure the ball, catch it, secure it, turn, and get what you need to get. Right? You could power through. Big tight end usually take 2 people to drag him down. Right? If he squares up and go north to south or whatever you need him to do to pick up the yardage, right? But that's something something that we've seen that Jawan Johnson has done, and that needs to be worked upon. And a lot of people believe that now that he getting $10 million a year over the next several years or next 3 years, that means that stops. A top 10 tight end. I'm not saying that he is, but he should be inside the conversation of being one of the top 10 best tight ends in the NFL. He should be in that conversation because he's getting paid like one of the top 10, even though he's ranked 12th in his salary in the NFL at his position. So it's no more concentration drops because they gave you the bag. It's time for you to level up and then secure yourself as one of the best tight ends in the game. There was a time a couple years ago, y'all remember, when he had like 7 touchdown catches, and he was like number 2 or something like that in the NFL in TDs as a tight end. He was up there with Kelson, Kittles and guys like that. His receptions were way low versus that, but his touchdowns was up there. He was in that conversation. And that was like, okay, we see what you're doing, but he has to elevate to that position to be a force. Could you imagine what he could be if he was to live in that rarefied air like you see a Kittles or a Kelsey? You see what I'm saying? Or even one of these other young tight ends that be killing the Saints. Even, that money says he's supposed to be in that type of rarefied air. Imagine if he turns into that and give you that from the tight end position, how far the Saints can go, because he would be a safety blanket for whether it's whether it's Shuck or Spencer. They need a security blanket at the tight end position, a guy they can rely on. So, like I said, man, we'll see what Jawan Johnson has, but it's time for all them concentration drops and that sorry ass blocking we seen last year. That got to change, bro. You got that money, people. You have elevated expectations. Screw what that Loomis guy is saying. Oh, line now, Q. Oh, we don't deal with expectations. Oh, God damn it. Oh, what? That stuff is for outside the building. That's expectations from outside the building. We know they're not qualifying. That's guys that's not qualifying. Man. That kind of stuff. No expectations, because it's the same damn thing. You don't separate them. It's the same thing. Whether you have goals, inspirations, motivations, or expectations, it all is supposed to all end at the same place, which is success. Because it's the same damn thing. I don't know no people outside of the building that want their team to win that ain't talking success. That ain't talking about, hey, man, we need to beat the NFC South. We're not in the juggernaut division where we can't beat these people. Oh, now, Q, they're not qualified. All right. Well, to give them the website, Mickey, so they can go there and buy your qualifications. Always trying to tell somebody they're not qualified. Y'all remember that? He said that recently. Well, that's just somebody outside. They're not qualified. Oh, really? He said that about the reporter. The reporters are not qualified. They ain't qualified. Okay, Mickey. I hear you, brother. I hear you. They ain't qualified. Man, would you stop it? Remember how Lamont used to tell, would you stop? Lamont used to tell Fred when he do something stupid. He said, would you stop it? That's what you need to tell Mickey Loomis. That's what he needed. Would you stop it? Because that's foolish talk that you're talking about. Regardless or not, whatever you have, it got to be successful. Because the Saints, a great deal of the Who Dat Nation is not going to support something that's a failure. They're not going to do it because it don't make no sense. We've been doing that for years. So you add up all the other stuff that we've been doing for years since the 60s when the team stepped on the scene. Now, granted, the team was promoted and supported by the family base for 20 years before they even have a winning season. So you can't tell them people shit about supporting no team. They've been doing it before they even got a winning season. It took 20 years to get there. Who wait 20 years? We did 20 damn years for one winning season. Oh my goodness. Boy, you talking about diehards. Oh yeah, that you die hard doing that type of shit. We died hard doing it. Enough is enough. We ain't dying hard no more. We living right, baby. We ain't dying hard, baby. We living good, baby. That's what it is. We no more die hard bullshit for the Saints. No, win. God damn it, win. It's time to win. Y'all got everything. We gave you all the money. We done fixed your damn buildings. That's our buildings for free. You know, we done put up with all your bullshit. We done hear Mickey Loomis sit up here and tell people they're not qualified and all this. And all this kind of stuff. What more you want? You know what I'm saying? What more you want from the people? There ain't no more we gonna give you. It's time for you to win. That's the bottom line. Ain't no ifs, ands, and buts to it. All right, anyway, man, shout out to y'all, man. Appreciate y'all being in the stream on this one, man. Hey, let's see. Yeah, I see what you did. Yeah, Desi says they need to keep 6 in the case of injuries. I already know what's coming. Yeah, the tight end position, I think they're going to add some more people. Might not be some of the big name people that we know about, but we'll see. It's still very early on. But I know if you got a groin issue, even though they're saying he's going to be returning, it's not a severe groin injury, but depending on how you deal with a player, if it has, because it starts that way. Like you have a little lingering issue, and if you don't get it right, it can linger into camp and ultimately affect him going forward. So, like we talked about in the previous broadcast about preventive maintenance. Remember we had that discussion? We talked about that on the Patreon. We talked about preventive maintenance. If you got a car or truck, you might want to practice preventive maintenance, right? And preventive maintenance meaning that you know what's going on with your car. You do checks on it, make sure your lights is right. You check up under that, make sure you ain't got no leaks. You check your tires. You see what I'm saying? You do preventive maintenance on your vehicle. Why? Because you catch all the small stuff before it gets big, because it all starts small. It always starts small before it grows into something big, because it's just a small issue that become large because it's not checked. You don't check it. You don't check it when it's small, baby. So, in the end, we have to practice preventive maintenance here. That would be the difference. What did Kellen Moore call it? He called it he called it pre-injury. Is he called it what was it called? Pre something or other. Put it in the chat for me, fam. I was like, okay, I did, yeah, okay. Well, I never heard him say that. I've been listening to all these Saints shit for years. And he said pre-injury. I'm like, pre-injury? Really? What is that about? That's like preventive maintenance. We got to get ahead of it and stay ahead of it. Because the last 4 years, we've been showing you that whatever we were doing the last 4 years in terms of the injury situation was not working. It wasn't working, right? It just wasn't getting there. So a different approach is needed. So Kellen knows that. He studied the Saints, and we shall see. Bobbin with Johnson says, Q, did you see Trevor Penning? I did, bro. Trevor Penning looks better. He looks better. His attitude, he playing with some confidence, and the offensive line coach, Coach Nugent, is doing a good job. Remember, we know about him. He was here in a previous hire session early on and during our magnificent running year. So the guy knows how to put together a running attack. We've seen him before here. So coaching. Like for a guy like Penning, who has the size, the strength, and wants to do good, but technique. You got to refine technique. That gets better with reps. Getting him to fix all of that, not get too high in this stance. Understand, because he's a big guy, 6'7". That's big for an offensive lineman to play at the guard position. That's a big guard. a 6'7" guard. That's a big guard. Isn't Penning like 6'6", something like that? Isn't he big, like 6'6" or something like that? That's a big guard to have that. So he gonna have to bend his knees. He gonna have to. He gotta bend his knees, and he can't stand too tall to give up that leverage. If not, they're gonna just march his ass right back into the lap of the quarterback every time. the guy's gonna get lower than him and get up under him and drive him back. It's a leverage game. That's what Devon, the nose tackle, talked about when he did his breakdown the other day. He had a really good interview. Gacho. He had a real good interview that he talked about leverage and him being in the game for what is about 9 years now and all this kind of stuff. That man then came full circle. The Saints sent the 7th-round 2026 draft pick to get that nose tackle from New England. He said the other day that the Saints training staff or the health staff he liked what he's seen and he considered it as the best where he played. He was at New England. He was at the other place prior to New England. He played somewhere. Was it Miami? Yeah. So yeah, that was a compliment, but he also gave good game about what he was doing at the nose tackle position and why he means a lot to what the Saints got going on. So he's preached about leverage. Say, how do you do? He says, just knock somebody down. He's saying it's all about, he says, we're talking about how strong he was. He's considering one of the strongest players on the team. And he was like, kind of downplayed it. And he said, all it is a leverage. He just gave the game up. The big secret sauce is leverage for a defensive tackle, meaning I get lower than this guy and get up under his pads and I can move him or I can remote control his ass. And that's what he talked about. And that's real deal. But Penning does look a lot better, man, with a new coach. And that's what we're talking about. And we just need to keep him on that level. But he seems to be beating Dylan Redunce right now, but it's still early on in camp and things happen. So, some guys do good at first and then they kind of tail off. Some other guys gain ground, they get the glow and things start shaking and popping. But right now it's early on and it's still looking good. But KT said Kelsey Kittles can block you, unlike Johnson. Listen, Juwan Johnson has got to get better on his blocking. He really do. Watching the tape last year, I was very pissed with Juwan Johnson's blocking. When you see Kittles and you see them guys can put both ends of the game together because the tight end position ain't just about catching the football when they need you to. You also have to get ahead and make blocks. You got to clear guys out of there. You got to clean them up, clear them out. You can't be fiddle-faddling with linebackers or defensive backs if they're running to your side. If you got a tight end and they're doing a stretch run to the right side or wherever the tight end is positioned at after they motion them and they run in there, where he's going at, that boy can't play around. Juwan Johnson can't fiddle-faddle and play patty cake with the defensive back or the linebacker. He got to get his ass up out of the way and push through there and create a lane as fast as possible for Elvin them because they coming. You see what I'm saying? And I seen games last year when I'm like, Juwan Johnson is slow. He need to get there and clean that out of there. Don't fiddle-faddle around with that man. Get that goddamn man out of there. Clean, you got to clear him out. And that's what we was talking about, like in many of the years when we would break down film. And this was something one of my old coach taught me when we was playing, when I played fullback, play linebacker and fullback, when he was talking about, he's like, listen, when you are blocking for your running back, do not fiddle-faddle around. You go in there and you clean that out. You saying you block that guy and clean him out and push him out until you hear the whistle. That's what he said. And he also told him, he said, if you don't do that and you fiddle-faddling and handsing around with the dude and all this kind of stuff, he said that creates a situation where you can get hurt. Because if that running back's going there, them running backs don't care. They don't, even though they their teammates. How many times, put one in the chat every time y'all seen a running back run over another guy, run over his guy, and they're on the same team. Put one in the chat. Put one in the chat. How many times you seen it? How many times you seen that happen? You seen it happen a lot, right? That's my teammate, but goddamn it, it's more important for me to get this bird down. Yeah, he's standing in the way, fiddle-faddling with him, and he just run into him and knock them all down and keeps running, right? He treats him like he the enemy, even though that's his guy, because he knows what's important is I have to get to the touchdown or the first down. That's more important than me saying, excuse me, can you move out the way so I can go over there? He's just going to run into him and knock him down. And you bet not get mad because you ain't supposed to be over there anyway. That's what happened with Michael Thomas. Remember, not Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas. One of them got hurt. Guy ran up on him. Remember that? Wasn't that Michael Thomas? He was blocking the guy and the guy ran up on him. You remember that? Ran up on the back, and that's how they get bent down. Like if you block and a guy run and it flows towards you and it flows over you and you bent forward, you can get hurt that way. You can tear you can hurt yourself, your Achilles and all that type of stuff when you get rolled up and bent like that. That's why they tell you, don't fiddle faddle around. You hit that shit and you blow all that out of there and you knock them guys out, drive them guys out of there and save yourself because you ain't got eyes behind your back. What if they running your way and they got people on that's coming your way? You can't fiddle faddle. Get that guy out of there and clear him out so that guy can get there. Because we seen guy, like I said, you'll get rolled up on. We seen people get rolled up on because they're not clearing them out. You're not supposed to do that. Clear them guys out of there and be done with it. Right? I'm just giving you the game, right? But he definitely has to improve there, man. No doubt about it. In my estimation, Juwan Johnson can catch the ball, but that blocking got to go up another level or 2 or 3. All right. Yeah, Snakebite says, how does one become qualified? You got to ask Mickey Lomas, man. We kidded about it that he has 3 levels. You go to slickmickey.com. All right, I'm going to tell you how to do it. You go to slickmickey.com, right? And once you sign up, you'll have an opportunity to pick between 3 categories, right, to be qualified. The first one is the Kitty Mickey package. Right. That's when you first get in the door and you want to know the basics about what it is to be qualified. That's the Kitty Mickey package. The second package is the Super Duper Slick Mickey King package. And the third one is the Ultra Slick Mickey Super Pack, which that is the ultimate one. And then within that, you get a sticker of Mickey Lomas with a Mickey Mouse hat on. You also get a T-shirt with his favorite sayings or whatnot. And also I heard that you get to sit down and eat some clam chowder and drink some gourmet orange juice with them. And you get your qualifications like that. Slickmickey.com. That's how you get it, baby. Then you'll be qualified. That's the only way you're going to get it. That's how you're going to get it. All right. Just letting you know, bro. That's a little inside baseball on that. All right. Yeah. All right. So anyway, let's keep it moving, man, in this thing, man. DeWright said that's the same dude that compared Dennis Allen to Bill. Yeah, Mickey is dealing with a bout of a little something mentally. Yeah, pre-injury. Yeah, that's what it was a term that they used, but it's not what you think. It was like he was using it as a term to prepare, right? Preparation. The answer to minimizing injuries is training and preparing, right? Because this is what Tom Rath, we covered in the article, they talked about it, in terms of the philosophy that Tom Rath, who's going to be has a lot to do with the reshaping of the mentality of the health staff, is how they rest these athletes and how they train them for football. And he mentioned not weightlifting. It's skill sets and things that you needed to do. He called it spurtability, which means resting and firing, getting them ready for that, because that's pretty much what if you're a defensive lineman or a linebacker, that's what you do all day during the game, right? If you're a defensive lineman, you get down, you fire, then you get up, you rest, right? You rest. And that's the thing that they want to train their bodies to do. Very intelligent, right? You don't just say, okay, we're going to treat our athletes like they're about to run a 10K. Longevity is good, but you have to focus on certain, I guess, not say certain muscle groups, but it's a preparation and preparing the body to deal with what they need to do in NFL games, like as football players, right? You train them like they're in football, not in basketball, where you got them doing stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Now, certain skills do translate to the NFL, but not all of them. And that's what the guy was talking about, knowing when to fire, then rest, and then allowing the players to adjust in their minds and their body to adapt. But he was talking more on the mental side too. Like if you can have a player that has a tag that he's an injury prone player and that sets into his mind, that's going to be difficult because that guy ain't going to do nothing but bring injuries to him all the time. It's weird how it works, but You do, and we talk about this all the time. Like whatever happens to you in your life is a lot of it is on you. It's on your decision making, right? If you got people that ain't no good, guess what? You something you doing or you thinking of bringing them type of cats around you. If you date people that they start off good, next thing you know, they're stealing out your purse. That's that, baby. Something going wrong, baby. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. But at the end of the day, I'm saying from a mentality standpoint, mind over matter. How many times y'all heard that? And that's what they big on. Mind over matter. If you can't think you are going to be great, then what I'm working with you for. We want greatness in here. We want some people that want to be winners. If you got a guy that ain't gonna think he's gonna be a winner, and he has a losing mentality, what is that gonna do to the team? You don't want that at all. That's like having a dude that's sick in the building. He's spewing and barking every time he talk. He get everybody in there sick. You don't want that, right? You just want people to have a successful and a progressive mentality. And what I mean by progressive, I mean a person that understands that they are empowered, that they have the ability to control a great deal of what goes on in their body and around their body using their mind. That's what I'm talking about. And that's what he was mentioning about when we talked about some of them articles. If you have a tough player, they have to be mentally tough before they are physically tough. That's a mentality, mind over matter. I live by that, man. Mind over matter. If you successful and they got that in your mind and you working, that's the first steps to being great. You got to have the mind to say, I can do that. And then once you do that, then you investigate and find the steps out that you need to go where you need to go. And you be consistent and thorough and you carry them out. See, that opens up the door to other things. You don't just, that's how you take a team that was bottom of whatever and turn them into a playoff team the next year. It ain't just all about talent. You got to know to take the mindsets of the team and weld them together in one giant thing of success and have them all perceiving that they can be Super Bowl champions. That's the bottom line. Now, that sounds difficult, and it is. Not everybody could do it. That's why it's tough that most of the teams simply don't do it. But once you get it, that yes, you're a champion, it's like it's a snowball effect. That you see teams that are win, they just start winning because they got the recipe. They eat, sleep, and drink the success. Now they turned it from something that was intangible. You couldn't see it or taste it or feel it. Now it's something real that not only they benefit from, but you also watch and can see that this team, which used to be a bullshit team, now are one of the top teams in the league. It just don't happen by chance. We did it some years ago, right? When Sean Payton was down here having mock funeral processions, he did that. People thought he was crazy, but he was having this for you, for us, to say, hey, listen, we're going to separate between success and the dead ass saints that we knew. We're going to put them in this fake coffin, and then we're going to have a funeral procession and we're going to bury their ass. Then we're going to be about the business of winning. That's what Coach Payton did. Bringing in the voodoo lady with the snake to dance around in the Superdome, people laughing. And you're like, man, this is crazy. Nah, it was smart as a fox because he knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. You had to create a delineation, a line in between the old bullshit losing and the new. I had to set a line, a barrier for the team and the support base to understand these are different times coming. Peyton had it up here. He knew what you had to do. So in the end, like I said, it's really awesome, but that's where it starts at, to have great teams to reach a level of success that 20, 29 other teams can't do, 29, 30, 31 other teams can't do. Because it's only one winner, baby. The best of the best that climbed the mountain and captured the flag. Can that be the Saints? Eventually, I think it will be. All right. Yeah. Pelicans noticed there. Yeah, I just did it. But yeah, this is the thing, man. Yeah. Gregory said, low man always wins. That's right. Leverage, the leverage game. What's up, Gundam? Shout out to you, man. All right. But yeah, that's what we're talking about, fam. Y'all got questions, throw them in the chat. But yeah, right now we got some great stuff going on here. right? With the Who-Dats, right? We all doing a little injury thing right now. We got a little stuff going on. It's not something terribly bad, as we know. We just got to see how this new philosophy is tested, because it's going to be put to the test. Now, the thing is, how do we adjust to these situations is what matters, right? You're going to be challenged, baby. That's how we get better. That's how we get stronger. That's how we get smarter. That's how we get faster, is that you're going to be met with tests, but you don't see them as, obstacles or hurdles. You see them as stepping stones, baby. Stepping stones, baby. Not hurdles or obstacles. Stepping stones. Milestones. You see the difference? It's a difference there. If you can adopt that, baby, we on the way. We on the way, baby. All right, shout out to the fam, man. We got a lot of great stuff going on, man, for the Who Dat Nation. What's up, Giovanni says, Mickey, if I pay for a full year, do I get a discount?
He ain't lying. Talk, boy.
Oh, hold on now, goddammit. Oh, hold on now. Listen, each plan is a 1-year plan at slickmickey.com, okay? All right, guy, listen, you got to make sure you pick the right one, because there is no upgrade. Once you pick the Kid Mickey package, you're stuck with that for a year. Hold on. I was thinking about creating a clam chowder package, but hold on, that'll be really expensive. But that's how it is for Mickey Lomas, who keep telling people he ain't qualified. He do that all the time. He did that the last several. I'm like, what is Mickey? What general manager says this type of stuff? Tell people they're not qualified. I've never heard that before. And I'm like, that's a journalist that said that for ESPN, who talked about when the reporter asked him about, what it was based upon, the ESPN article that said that the Saints had the worst roster in the NFL. Now, we knew that was his perspective, and it was a silly one, but at the same time, who is Mickey to say, oh, that guy doesn't know, he's unqualified? Qualified? What do you mean? He don't have to be a general manager to grade you as a general manager. You do realize that. That's what I'm saying up here. Something going on up here. Like something, what? Bro, the man is a professional journalist that works for ESPN that wrote that article. Or I think it was a guy. I think it was a guy. It wasn't a lady. But just because he's not an NFL general manager doesn't mean, as foolish as I think it was, does not mean that the man is not qualified. Hold on now, goddammit. I'd say he's unqualified. All right, Mickey. All right. Yeah. What's up, Colorado? Shout out to you, man. All right. Yeah, that's what you got to do, fam. Y'all got to go to slickmickey.com and get y'all qualifications, man. Katie says, Q, who is your dark horse candidate to make the team on offense and defense? I got Marcus Lawrence and Dallas Beanham. For real, bro. Dark horse candidates to make it. Those guys. Whew. Damn. Marcus Lawrence, that's a long shot, dog. Marcus Lawrence is a long shot. I don't see how he gets through all those unless injuries hit the room. I guess anything possible, right? I can't poo-poo what you're saying. It's a long shot. I guess you can give him 1% chance that he make is he a dark horse? Dark horse mean that he makes the team. Man, I like Marcus Lawrence, but that running back room is loaded. Kendre Miller's healthy. So if he's healthy and doing what he's supposed to do, he's going to stick and stay. Behind him is Devin Neal, the rookie running back from Kansas. That guy's good. He was Kansas's all-time leading rusher. The guy is good. He can catch and run inside and outside, has a degree of speed and physicality to his game. He was drafted by the Saints, which means that he won't get put in the street. So that's 3. The fourth one, because if you say maybe they keep 4 guys, is they picking Marcus Lawrence over Cam Akers, over Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Are they going to do that over those guys? Maybe Cam Akers, but a guy with the experiences of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. If you do that, that's how he would have to make it if they keep 3. And then perhaps what if the Saints, and like I said, man, he has a better chance than Velus Jones Jr., right? Perhaps. Velus is trying to make the team as a punt returner. And that's the only way a guy like Marcus Lawrence can make the team is the special teams. So if he can kind of do something there, maybe he has a chance. You might have something. But Dallas Beanham probably have a better chance of making a team than Marcus Yarms do, because injuries could impact the secondary room, because the cornerbacks, you got Kool-Aid McKinstry, Alontae Taylor, Isaac Yiadom, Quincy Riley, Rico Payton, and then you have Rajon Wright, and then maybe Dallas Beanham. So if injuries hit there, maybe Dallas Beanham can climb, because he's a good young cornerback. I've seen him play. So we'll see, bro. Dark horse. That's that. Well, I looked at your guys and said, that's your guys. Kind of a long shot to make the team. But you asking about my guys as in terms of dark horse players to make the team. Dark horse guys. Man, let's see. Let's think about. I don't know, brother. I'm gonna have to think about that one. Dark horse guys. Would Matavo be considered a dark horse guy? No one. Well, would Matavo, the big tight end from UCLA, would he be considered a dark horse? What y'all think? Put it in the chat. Would he would he be considered a dark horse? I don't know, man. If you're forcing me to think about it, how about Jacine Davis, the undrafted linebacker, defensive end type? I like him. The Saints made him, like, every year you get the guy that the Saints pay, the undrafted guy the Saints pay more money for. Well, wasn't it Jacine Davis this year where they gave more money than any other undrafted guy? And that's because he's good. Also, Chris Rumpf, the second, is also another guy that knows how to play that 34 defense. He's been making plays. Where is he in the mixture, right? But order for Rumpf or Jacine Davis to get reps, they got guys that are drafted guys like Fadil Diggs, Isaiah Foskey, who's a linebacker now. So do those guys leapfrog those guys? I think the Saints have like a preference for drafted guys. It's almost what happened with DeMarco Jackson and Anthony Orji, when y'all know Orji outplayed DeMarco Jackson, but yet they put Anthony Orji on the street as opposed to DeMarco Jackson. They have a preference for drafted guys unless they're in the final year of their agreements. Right? Unless they're in the final year of their agreements. But even though the Saints will keep them first rounders, even though they busting the hell out, they bust in all kind of ways, but they would keep hold to them linebackers that are draft picks, for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But yeah, I could see probably Beanham climbing there. But outside of that, man, I don't know. Could we say James Burnip is a dark horse? Is James Burnip a dark horse? Can I ask y'all that? Is he a dark horse player? Is Matavo a dark horse player? Is Donovan Peoples-Jones a dark horse player? That would be my three guys. I don't know, fam. All right. So anyway, let's keep it going, man. All right, El Blair, what's up, El Blair? So we went through the time frame of thinking all we need is Drew Brees, yeah, and we had Drew, and we had him. Remember, it was years we had Drew Brees. The offense was killing it, and the defense was not there until Coach Payne said, "You know what? Enough. We got to add to the defense," because the offense was moving, but the defense was a time when the Saints wasn't, there. The offense was top 10, but defense was not there. And Coach Payton had to put resources into improving the defense. He had the Ryan brother that was here. He had him. He had Spagnuolo. They had, they just couldn't get it right. Now, people swear up and down Spagnuolo is this great defensive coordinator, but he championed probably the worst defense in the history of the NFL when he came down here to 1 year. Remember that? For the Saints, he was the defensive coordinator for the Saints for 1 year and was so bad they fired that man. I think they brought in the Ryan brother, the twin Ryan brother. Had him for a couple of years. The thing about him, he was a good defensive coordinator, but he had no discipline. His defenses would do good at first, and then it was a slope down. That's what he would do. He would come in at first, and you have a rock'em sock'em defense and all this kind of stuff, and then they'll be like this, and then they go like this. because he don't have much of a defensive thoroughness to his coaching game. So them defense would just go like so soon when that happened, then Dennis Allen, who was fired by the Raiders, he was brought in as an advisor. And soon as he had enough, he got fed up with his game, he got him out, put Dennis Allen in there to run that defense. Then you start seeing things change a little bit, right? But that was after Greg Williams, right? Greg Williams was here. The Saints had the Coach Payton running the offense, Greg Williams running the defense. Those were two great people in what they did. Greg Williams is one of the greatest defensive coordinators in that ever did it, right? He up there. He used to take, I ain't gonna say he better than Buddy Ryan, but the man was one of the greats at running a defense. Greg Williams was. Him and Sean Payton was lightning in the bottle, and the NFL ripped them apart with that bullshit scandal. That bullshit scandal that they did had hiding all that bullshit, and they was really behind the scenes hiding the Vicodin thing that was going on. That's the game. So in the end, the NFL separated them guys, and it's crazy because Williams could have came back and worked for the Saints again, but for whatever reason, they didn't do that. When all that was done, I would have hired Greg Williams back and brought him back to work with Coach Payton if that was me. Why, we could have did it all again, but they had to bust all that up. The Saints was wrecking shit. We had offense and defense. We was running it. Then we been about the business of finding all these old other guys. And they had a dip defensively. They did silly shit like took the late great Will Smith and moved him from a defensive lineman to a linebacker. Had the kid that we drafted from Washington. What was his name? The Hawaiian Haloi Kakaha. They had Kakaha as a stand-up linebacker when he never did that ever in his career. It was a disaster. They moved Stephon Anthony from what was he a linebacker in the what was he in the 43 defense to we were in the 34 or the 43, whatever we was that first year. But they changed all of their stuff, it was crazy. Yeah, they went from a 43 to a 34, I want to say, or something like that. If my memory serves, y'all help me out. It's crazy. All right, KT says it's on site, Mickey. Reverend Saint is riding shotgun.
Thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back
to this KT kicked that man basket over. That's what the hell happened. KT kicked that man basket over, and Rouse's and scared Mickey, and Mickey don't even go to the store to shop no more. He get his groceries brought to him at home. Use a delivery service right now. That's because of KT. KT did that to that man. All right. Yeah. Tim says, yes, right. That's right, Tim. You got it. Membership comes with a free pack of gum. That's right. That is Mickey Loomis hand-picked gum. It's crazy. All right, 504 says, Q, if the Saints go 5-12 this year, does Mickey? No. Nope. I agree with you. You said I'm going to say no. Mickey Loomis is as safe can be. The only way Mickey Loomis is out of here is if the Saints get new leadership and a new person come in and say, I'm bringing my own team. But they keep Mickey, but they just find a spot for Mickey out of respect and do this type of thing. But why should he leave? Why should he leave? I think the most difficult part of what happened with him was last year. And it basically took care of itself. Well, it not took care of itself. We boycotted the Saints, which forced Gale to fire Dennis Allen to the chagrin of Mickey Loomis. He didn't want to get rid of him, but he was forced to get rid of him. He did do a positive thing by finding somebody outside of his, good old boy circle, so to speak. So he went and found Kellen Moore and kind of to a degree followed the blueprint similar to what the Saints did with Peyton. They went found the closest, most innovative offensive mind that he could find, and he stuck with him. And he had other people who kind of fell off and made the search a lot easier. Because remember McCarthy, they didn't want to take the job because a lot of rumors was it was the whole Carr fiasco, them working with Carr, and a lot of people didn't want to take the job because of the quarterback. That's even what Kellen Moore's hesitation was about the Saints, was the quarterback situation. That was well known and that was out there. They tried to dial it back and spin it later on when he became the coach. But go back in your recollection. a lot of those coaches that were coming here were asking about the QB position because a lot of those guys wanted to pick their own guy. And Mickey Loomis was reassuring them, oh, hold on, guy, Derek's our guy right now. Hold on, goddammit. And we'll let you draft their guy, hold on now. And then you can go from there. But we're committed to Derek. That's what he was saying. That's what he was saying, wasn't it? But I said, you know what? I knew that when Dennis Allen got fired, it was only a matter of time before Derek Carr left because he could not exist without Dennis Allen's protections. Protections meaning he would do weird stuff like, mess with the backup QB job. Like we had Spencer was extremely popular with the people. And if Derek Carr struggled and if Spencer was a second string quarterback, the people on outside the stands yelling for him to come in there. If any pick or interception happened, they yell at, bench Carr or Spencer, whatever the case may be. He didn't want that. So he made Spencer Rattler, who beat the shit out of Jake Haener last year in the competition. He made Haener the second man, put Spencer as a third, even though we know he won the backup job. Y'all know it and I did. That was Dennis Allen. And I told y'all he was going to do that because that's what off-code people do. He only on-code with him. Screw the team. That's why he couldn't win. He couldn't win because he was a guy, he was incredibly non-aware about what he would do with his off-code weird-ass movements. He fractured his own team. And then when they got mad at him, he blamed him and wanted to trade him because of what he had done to the team. The losing, the inconsistencies, not coaching correctly, no leadership, all this F stuff. That's what he did. But in the end, that's what I'm saying. When we got rid of Dennis Allen, then it was a matter of time before Carr went because I knew Carr would not stand before you. And this year, if he got healthy and he took the quarterback position, you know how incredibly difficult that would have been on him. He didn't have that. Wasn't what he was. He couldn't do it. Anytime he was wrong, Dennis Allen protected him. Even when he was doing stuff and he was pointing out, making mistakes and blaming people for running the wrong routes, and it was him throwing the ball wrong places, Dennis Allen took his back. Even when he was at fault for interceptions and plays, he protected him and said, hold on, it's not about the quarterback. We are a team. But when he threw a touchdown pass that went to win, how about number 4? I thought this was a team game. Just incredibly stupid and off code. But at the end of the day, when you got him out of there, all those protections that guy had, it just literally evaporated. His little bulletproof glass around him fell apart and he was standing there for the entire world to see. And he could not absorb that heat. I promise you that. So the man did the right thing. And I applaud him. Let's give him a round of applause for doing that. Thank you. For what you did. Stepping down, stepping away, because we got young quarterbacks here that are leaders and that will take blame and accountability for what they do from the quarterback position. So yes, indeed. If Mickey Loomis, will he get fired? He won't get fired by the current administration. Ain't no doubt about it. He's safe as safe can be. That's no doubt about it. All right, Jack. What's up, Jack? Says Dark Horse. Kendra Miller makes it to week 1. Is that where we going now? That's what we doing, brother. All right, you ain't say all that. Jack says, for Kendra Miller, you know what? Let's give a round of applause for that. I'm for that. Hell yeah.
He ain't lying.
I would love that. Shit, I would love to have that. Hell yeah, I would love for him to go to week number 12, 13, 14, all the way through. I would love that. I don't know. I love that. All right, what's up, Charles? Charles says, Q, when you gonna make a train? I don't know, bro. I don't know, man. I don't know. You just stay tuned, my brother. I'm gonna let y'all know, man. You never know when old Q will pop up down there, man. I just mention myself in third person, man. I don't do that shit. But I don't know when I make it down there, bro. I'll let you know, man. You never know. I might pop up there, brother. With the mic in my hand, talking to the people. You never know, bro. You never know. Stay tuned. All right, Ross. What's up, Ross? Shout out to you, my brother. How you doing out there, man? All right, Bayou Baller says, I haven't heard much on Donovan Peoples-Jones. What's going on with him? I don't know, bro. It's a great question. We haven't heard much. You're right. Haven't heard much. He is healthy. He is out there, but he hadn't make any plays that's of note. You know, we've heard from other players, obviously Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Mason Tipton. You know, we've heard about players, even Bub, Kevin Austin Jr., but nothing so far on Donovan Peoples-Jones. You're right. Got to keep an eye out on that one. Good one, bro. You haven't heard much, but it's still early on, man. Still early on. All right. English says Possum was milquetoast until AK Mike Thomas and Lattimore came to town. Thank you, bro. Eugene says Saints go 0-17 and Mickey will still be Teflon. You're right. It's one of the reasons I can't get overly excited about any progress made by the current staff or roster. The franchise upside is capped. And, you know, I feel your frustration on that, but I think, and I said that before, I think they're headed in the right direction, bro. And the reason I say that is because they were doing a lot of stuff outside of the natural behavior that we've seen them do over the last many years, right? You know, we know early on Dennis Allen wasn't a guy. I didn't think a lot of people. The only person interviewed Dennis Allen for head coaching job was the Saints, and he was on the team. I thought he was less qualified. When Mickey talked about qualified, I thought Dennis Allen was way less qualified than some of the people the Saints were bringing in. Hell, the first person they interviewed before they hired him was Dougie Peterson, right? Dougie Peterson from the Eagles. I thought, oh, this guy got a Super Bowl ring. Dougie Peterson could be interesting, and the Saints let him go in the Jaguars picked him up. I mean, he got fired, 4 years? He got fired, last year? The year before last? But the thing is, these are some of the moves that were outside the Saints realm of thinking, to be honest with you. Picking this guy and, you know, Kellen Moore, he wasn't the hire that people thought they would be. They kind of went outside the thought process on that. I think once you get a guy who, you know, is a football guy, like he's known to have a football mind, right? He's a young coach. People he got a good aura to him. He's good at translating the game. He's good at talking to his players and people. He is not a hardcore personality type. Like he's a guy that gets everybody involved. You know, come on, guys, let's do. You know, he got a certain level of, even though he has that temperament, he still has a degree of seriousness to what he's doing. And the guys that he has around him, like is a unique thing because he has 3 different quarterbacks, like guys that played in the league. They weren't terrific at what they did, but they have a degree of experience in playing in the NFL. You got 3 quarterbacks there. You got Kellen Nussmeier and Scott Tolzien, who's a QB coach. All those guys have the ability to talk to the quarterback, so to make plays easier for him, right? It's a little bit different when your guy actually did it. Like last year we had Clint Kubiak. Kubiak never done that. He never was a quarterback in the NFL, right? So it's a different, what's the term? Perspective. It's a different perspective, maybe more of an in-depth perspective because you got guys that did it talking to a quarterback, telling me, you know what, you're missing on this, that, third, because they actually did it. They actually played the position, hits differently. So that helps. And plus the temperament, like you have the energy of being an offensive coordinator that won a championship just last year, and you're riding into the Who Dat Nation with that energy. And the fact that he brought qualified people that know football, like Staley, who can coach the hell out of a defense too, serious mind, good coaching, temperament. Didn't go too far, got Phil Galliano to be the special teams coach. That was a good move because Phil Galliano's a good special teams coach. It was his time. And then you see them assembled a good staff of people. They had a few good coaches here, and they just added more guys along with the group. Good calls. Then they hired Tom Rath for the injury situation. So you see him moving and doing certain things a little differently than what you see them doing before, and them being Mickey. So and I think they aimed in the right direction. Let's just say that, right? They aimed in the right direction. They had a draft where they had all their picks and drafted all their players. They bringing in defensive players. They know what areas of the team to work on. Like we got to run the ball. So they strengthen the running room, have all these backs there. They reshifting the defense. So they added all these other defensive players, Jonathan Bullard, what's the other guy name? They traded for Divine Goldshaw. They brought in Jonathan Bullard. They brought in guys like Jonah Williams. They brought in Chris Rumpf II. You know, they signed all these different guys. They bring in Justin Reed. They brought in Julian Blackman. They drafted Jonas Sinker. They drafted Quincy Riley. They drafted Stutzman. They drafted Shuck. They drafted Devin Neal. They, guys that can help out Malik and Matavo, Fadil Diggs, all these other guys. They brought in talent, and they kind of added those pieces. Even did a really good job bringing in undrafted guys like Jaseen Davis and Tyreen Powell, Dallas Beanham. These guys have potential, right? So they did some pretty positive things, and it just, you just got to give them a chance to see if they could turn it around. Just like we get that old possum face loser a chance, bro. We got to give Kellen a chance. If you can give a guy like that a chance, bro, we got to give this guy a chance too, because you never know, right? Let's just be fair. We get that old possum a chance, we can give this man a chance, right? That's what I say. Anyway, all right, let's keep it going. KT asked, Q, the rookies are staying at the hotel. My cousin Will. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool, bro. Shout out to Willard, man. I hope Willard is doing all right, man. Jason says, Q, what does Mickey think? What does he think? Oh, he ain't thinking too much right now. He's staying on out the way. Mickey believes like he did his game. He got everybody in shape and he just disappears. He said that during this off season, like he gets busy in the off season. And then when the in season stuff starts, he takes a step back and let them guys handle their business. And if they need something, they go to Mickey and he just gets it for them. But he in chill mode now. I got Kellen Moore here. It's his team. Y'all ask him the questions. Mickey don't have no answers. Let's keep it real. Mickey don't have no answers, bro. Y'all know that, and I know that. When Mickey Loomis, he talk about we this, that, and the third, he never give you what you want. He never, he don't. Remember, we talked about the evaluation and all that stuff when the end of the season press conference hit. He didn't have all the evaluations. There wasn't. I told you there will not be another press conference where he talks about evaluating the team. Then when they had the draft thing happen, people was asking about Carr. Remember, he said, "Then hold on now, this is just a thing for the draft. We're not taking those questions." And then then after that, it happened when the man somebody retired. Oh, well, hold on, we already talked about that. No, you didn't. Y'all don't get it. He don't never do what you ask him to do in terms of asking questions. He don't have no answers. He don't have any answers. That's why people don't like to listen to Mickey Loomis unless they're making fun of him. He don't have no answers. No disrespect, but he don't. Y'all know it and I know it. UG say, oh, I'm with you, Q. I recognize the procedure process we're seeing with the new regime, but Loma's presence just limits my long-term hopes a bit. I get it, bro. I'm not mad at you for that, bro. That's just what had been happening over the last 4 years. I can't be mad at anybody for being hesitant about or less optimistic about the outcome of the Saints based on what they've been through. The last 4 years was hard on us, man. The last 4 years was hard on the Who-Dats. Especially people who like to win and had their Sunday spoiled over and over again. I don't want to lose to the Falcons or lose to teams I know we better than. I think we got the talent to be the best in the NFC South, and that's not being delusional. I know we have the guys here. You just got to get the right people to get them there. Bayou Baller says if the team stay healthy this season and up to their potential, this could be a surprise team of the year because there's always one it is. Why not us, right, Bayou Baller? Why not us? You're right, my man. I can't. Yeah, you're right. I'm with you on that, brother. Thank you for that. Why not us? That'd be the question. Why not us? Right? Who that record said the same thing with Kellen Moore, the Clint Kubiak hype. I don't know if it's Clint Kubiak hype. It's a little different, bro. Kubiak ain't done nothing. Right? Clint Kubiak was a namesake based on what his father did. But the truth of the matter is he had a decent temperament, but when you it's like how you look at fighters. Like if you're a boxing person, right? And how you break down fighters, you got to see at least about 4 to 5 fights, even between 5 to 10 fights to really see how good a fighter is, because it depends. Like you might have a good matchup for you, like a guy that likes to, he don't have any head bobbing his head or moving. He's just straightforward fighter that comes right to you. And if you're a good stick and move fighter, you'll punish him all day. You stupid. If you don't move his head, you'll ping pong his head, whack-a-mole all damn day on him. But if you got a slick fighter that know how to move and stick and then switch from orthodox to southpaw, it's a little bit more difficult to get that guy out of there because it's levels to it, right? So as you get in the process, you start to see how good these people are. That's what happened with Kubiak in the 1 year we had him. We seen Kubiak do what he did for the Saints last year, but his, like I told y'all before, when Kubiak did it, he started off with the accountability stuff and speeding it up and all this kind of stuff. But then when stuff started happening, he stopped doing that. The accountability took a nosedive. All this other stuff took a nosedive that they started camp. They could not maintain that. And then on top of that, his flaws were exponential. He was a guy that became known as a guy that could not adjust. Like he would have players like a Taysom Hill who have several injuries, a broken rib and all this other stuff that he got going on. Same with my Elvin. And they would still use these guys like they was 100% healthy. And that was not a good thing. You got to know how to use the reserves that you picked to be on the team. And he wasn't doing that. He had when guys got hurt, he had a one-track mind. He did not know how to use a Sims, a Jordan Mims. A Jordan Mims. Or these are guys he picked. I didn't pick Mims. I thought Mims was good, but he had these people on his teams that he picked for his offense, but did not know how to use them. He would overuse people until the course of getting hurt. Like Taysom Hill was one of those guys. He got him hurt, overusing them and running them predictably. And that was the thing. The guy had no go-to game, and that's why whatever Seattle done, now that he has that knock on him, and that happened the entire year, that guy did not adjust. He became predictable. Even when he's seeing them offensive linemen out there not blocking, he should have got rid of them and got more. You think I'm going to sit up there and jeopardize my job, and I see a guy who don't know what he's doing, Ali Udo, this Shane LePew cat, these guys sitting up here literally stinking, not knowing who they're supposed to block, totally unprepared, not knowing their playbook. And you think I'm going to run these guys out here? You in the street. You in the street, you cut and you cut. And I'm going to find guys that know what they're doing. I got to do that. You know, but in the end, that's what we seen happen. That's what I was talking about, man. You're not asking them to be Eric McCoy, but at the same time, when your numbers call, you're getting paid to step up. And all you supposed to do if you're an offensive lineman, you're supposed to know how to run block. You might not be great at pass blocking, but your ass supposed to know how to run block at the least. That don't take no great deal of athleticism to put your hands on the guy in front of you and drive him out the way. That's leverage and strength. And of course, you got to know what play you be calling so you don't be out there false starting in which what they were doing anyway. So in the end, that falls on players that's unprepared and really ain't that good, and coaches that's supposed to be keeping these guys on game, and it wasn't. You know, it's a big difference between Nussmeier and Clint Kubiak in my book, just to keep it 100% funky with you. It's just not the same, you know, so all good though. All right, this is my perspective, bro. But like I said, you still got to give them guys a chance to see what they can do. All right. He said, yeah, El Blair said he was initially good, but didn't have the depth to be able to judge. It was, if you see that you don't have the depth, what you supposed to do, El Blair? Huh? You supposed to stick with these bums for the whole season or throw these guys out of here and get better guys? Last time I checked, free agency don't stop ever. Free agency don't stop ever. Free agency happens all throughout the season. There are always guys out there that could be picked up, right? Free agency don't close down, right? The trade market has a deadline where you get up to and you stop, right? But free agency is out there, and not even just free agency. You have the ability to literally pluck guys off of 31 other depth charts. So even if you can't trade no more and you don't like who you have on the free agency rosters or the free agency list, you can still pluck from other people's practice squads. The Saints did that when they picked up McClendon. Remember? When they picked up McClendon, the 8-year or 9-year center that was playing for the Jets, they pulled him in there and he actually did a decent job. And for whatever reason, they released that man when Shane Lemieux got healthy. And then he got hurt. And then Lemieux went back in there, stunk it up, and then got hurt again. I was like, what? But that's what you're supposed to do. You don't supposed to sit there and you're subject to bad linemen. At first, they might have been good. But if you see them in the season and they're not looking good, you got to get them guys out of here, man. Get these guys out of here. We got to win. He could not adjust. He could not adapt. And he still can't adapt and adjust because he don't have any imagination. And we were calling him out, say, dude, do something. He couldn't do it because he don't have that. This is a child or a man that's living off the rep of his father. He never done nothing higher than what his dad do. And he got a job in the NFL because he's a Kubiak, using his father's style of system. He might put a little seasoning on it, but that's his stuff. That's his pop stuff. I'm just telling you the real, right? Just telling you real. Just like any actor that got a name, if your dad is a Sinatra, you know what I'm saying? If they, if you a Sinatra, right? We know that that's a specialty name. If you a Sinatra and you related to Frank Sinatra and you live in today and you directly related to Frank Sinatra, somewhere you gonna get a job. So I'm just keeping it real, right? I'm just being honest. That's just a part of the game, right? If you Michael Jordan's son, well, maybe that's bad. Oh, my bad. My bad. You know what? My bad. I
Talk, boy.
I ain't gonna talk, brother. But my bad. I'm gonna stop talking right there. I'm about to throw out. I said Michael Jordan. We're gonna back up off there. All right. We don't want to talk about that. All right. So anyway, Jerry Covington said he ran Taysom in the grave. Yes, he did. But that's what I'm saying. Is the difference is the innovation. Like you have an innovator. The man is basically his father was a head coach. It's like genes. Like you see, Kellen Moore. Can he surpass what his dad did? Like this guy won a championship as an offensive coordinator, right? At the highest levels. So you got to have something, right? You were running this, you was doing, even though you had Barkley and then Barkley was off the chain. But he was able to use Barkley in a way, or build a situation where Barkley did something that we ain't seen done, if ever. And the Giants had that man for years and couldn't do nothing with him. And they basically got that man for 3 Cokes and a half-eaten Snicker bar. Pretty much that's what they got him for. And that man, he was the back in which they rode to get to the Super Bowl and win a championship. Is what you do with the players. But he had the ability to unlock that man, right? We knew he had the talent because we seen what he did at Penn State. We seen it sparingly for the Giants, but never at that level. It's levels to it. It's levels to coaching, right? And I just, I want to see him do that for Elvin. That's what I want to see. Bless, depth with Kubiak's ability. Sorry. No, you good, bro. I get you. Jack says nobody wants to stand up to Mickey because they should have been pounding the table for better talent. Nobody wants to stand up to Mickey in that building. Jeff Ireland's a brown noser. They're not going to stand up against Mickey because their futures are secured. They stand up against Mickey. There is nobody that's going to fortify them. Do you think they're going to run a coup on Mickey? You can't coup Mickey in the building because the ownership has his back 110%. They can't run a coup on Mickey. He got it sold up in there. So, it would have to be ownership change. And the guy would have to say, okay, thank you, bro, for all your service. But if you're going to stay, you're going to have to take this job here. I'm bringing in my own general manager. That's the only way it's going to happen because she'll never do it. She'll never do that, man. She don't know to do that. All she know is what they've been doing. She not going to do it. She ain't going to. She only did the Dennis Allen thing because of you. And people was telling you, hey, y'all ain't got no power to decide on what these teams do with their coach. You just got to put up with it. They were telling me that in the chat. I said, don't believe these non-powered people, man. If they taking money from you, you got all the power. If you don't go and pay for them tickets, they're going to say, uh-oh, what's going on here? And then when you don't pay and tell them why you're not paying, you're going to get what happened to you. That's why Dennis Allen got put in the street. Gail went, said she talked to the people and then talked to the players, and she commanded Mickey to fire the man. That's how it went. Even the reporters, our great reporters down here, covered it and said it was because of the family base. They told you that. So that was a big lie that a lot of them was telling you prior to that you have no power to affect what they do with these teams. Yes, you do. Because you paying your money. If you say no because this stinks, they're going to change to try to appease you because you are the power. She wouldn't have $6 billion plus if it wasn't for you. Where you think all that money come from? She got a printing press underneath her house or underneath the Saints facility? No, that would make her a target for Treasury and the feds because that's illegal. And she getting it from your ass. So that's where it comes from. That's the real deal. That is the power of the almighty dollar, especially for those who wield it, which you As they talk about all these people got all this money, but the richest people in the world is you. You make it all go. The most of these people that rich, they providing a service for you. The moment you say we don't want to buy your shit no more, let's see how fast they stay rich. That's the truth. It's a whole big stinking lie. You are the power. I've been telling y'all that. And you seen it last year, didn't you, baby? We're gonna see more of it, man. Truth is truth, and it's king. Cuevas says, looking at the film of practice day, Kool-Aid looks like he's going to be a dog this year. Yeah, I seen some footage on Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid look real smooth, man, back there. Bayou Baller says, Kellen also ran a good offense in Dallas and L.A. when Staley is the coach. Yeah, he got it, bro. He got a good idea for what he wants, and he got a lot of people here that believe in him. Cuevas says he looks like he's ready for a big year. His routes are much smoother. Remember, Mike Thomas was the one that kept him, that took him under his wing. Well, I know we get into a situation, I talked about it on Patreon, between Chris Olave coming up with his money coming due and Rashid Shaheed. Do the Saints pay both? The Chris Olave's future is based on what he does this year. We covered it in Patreon. We talked about the helmet that he wants to run. We even did research. I showed the type of helmet that he's going to wear on Patreon. And we talked about whether or not it should be a good case for him to rock the Guardian on top of that helmet. in which he has a different perspective. But at the end of the day, if you're a guy that had as many concussions as he had, you want to rock the most safest helmet and put the goddamn Guardian cap on top, which is the big padded thing, which they got a version of that you can wear during the regular season. Whatever protection you can have, you better put it on your head, bro. And stop being like that. H-Town says, giving Kellen Moore's flower for Philly is a disgrace. You realize Philly defense lost the first bowl. Yeah, the defense, bro, but that ain't got nothing to do with Kellen. Kellen was the offensive coordinator, H-Town. I get what you're saying, bro, but I'm just talking about in particular, and I hear what you're saying. We as Saints people, we don't like Philly, but truth is true, right? What he did with the Philadelphia team, what he did with stops in Dallas and stops in LA as an offensive coordinator, his resume is what we're looking at, right? And he's had success in his resume from there to here to Philly and now here, right? Is all I'm saying. I'm just speaking to his resume. I get what you're saying. Bishop says, I just got this feeling. What I miss, right? All right, you miss nothing, brother. We talking. All right, Kool-Aid can play. Watch the documentary on him from high school to Alabama. The real thing. He's the truth, bro. No doubt about it. All right, Byron says, Q, I got AK-41 Devin Neal dynamic duo running back, but who's going to be the third back behind those two? Kendrick, Clyde, Hilaire, Velus Jones, or Marcus Jams? AK-41, I think Kendre Miller is second because it's still his position to lose. I think Kendre Miller is there. The only way Kendre Miller doesn't make it is if he gets hurt. He says we played the interview with him on there. He said he done lost 10 pounds because he usually is like 225. So 10 pounds would be like, he puts him at 215, which is a good weight for him. He say he's been healthy as he's been. He came to camp healthy, no setbacks. He feels good. Y'all heard the interview. We played it. So let's see what he does. So from right now until things change, behind AK-41 is Kendre Miller. And then you got to look at guys like Devin Neal, Cam Akers, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is in the mix, and then Yarns and Velus Jones Jr. is toward the back end of that. That's what I was saying. So, but they would have to do something absolutely spectacular to kind of stand out, in my opinion. Yarns is good. I don't know that running back room is. They're going to be counting on them running backs. So, I think they might keep four. Four would be a good look if you supposed to be a ground and pound team, right? So, I don't know. Who that says San Neal over Kendre is crazy. Nah, I mean, you never know, bro. Injuries do happen in this here league, and guys can step up and step out. That's why they got them all there, right? Devin Neal and Cam Akers and Clyde Edwards-Helaire and all these other guys are insurance policies if Kendre don't pan out. If Kendre don't pan out this year, he out of here. That's why Neal is here. That's why all these other guys is here on 1 year prove-it deals, because both Cam and Clyde has 1 year prove-it deals. So they're motivated to have a positive showing, right? But like I said, the Saints could, as a running team, keep 4 running backs. The fourth runner has to be a special teams guy, right? Should be a special teams guy, help out. Could be Yarns. I don't know if Yarns is running or playing special teams, though. I don't know about that. Is that a part of his game? That would help. I don't know. All right, and then Jack says, Kellen Moore's system is pass happy, so it is. He says, so it was his head coach in Philly that told him or made him run the damn ball. The offense was shaky to start the season. Yeah, indeed, and that's true. But in the end, could Kellen Moore really do that with the Saints now, with an inexperienced QB at the position, whether it's Spencer Rattler or Tyler Shuck or even Jake Hayner for that matter? Still has a level of inexperience, and you don't load up the running back room like this if you plan on throwing the ball all the time. You're going to have at least 4 running backs. Jigsaw might be probably going to make it as a tight end because he's going to be like the fullback tight end type dude. And then you use road graders and you carry out the business of handling on the field, running the ball to set up everything else. That's what I see they're doing. Y'all might have a different opinion of what y'all seeing, but we'll see. My boy Sean, shout out to you, says Kendre. Oh, come on, bro. Kendre Zion Miller has to prove he can stay healthy. You wrong for that, bro. You wrong for that, bro.
Stop the cap.
You wrong for that, brother. Don't call the man Zion Williamson. Come on, brother. That man is not Zion Williamson. He don't have. He wasn't eating up the, and eating all the good food. He was, if anything, Kendre was stretching poorly. But we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm betting for Ken. I'm hoping. I really do want Kendre to step up because he got it, man. He feel good. I won't get a brother opportunity. I want to see him win, bro. I think he's good. All right, Richard says Sean Payton was pass happy when he hired good offensive coaches to adjust to win. Thank you, bro. H-Town says time will tell because I don't see it. He wasn't the OC in Philly's first Super Bowl versus it. Time will tell. H-Town, you're right, bro. You're right. All right, both are often injured. You are right, sir. You are absolutely right. But time. It's a new time, bro. Will it be more of the same or something different? Only time will tell. Shout out to Black Major, man. Shout out to you, man. Appreciate you for being in the chat. All right, so anyway, fam, with that being said, man, that's going to be the end of the stream. Listen, do me a service, man. Y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and by all means, feel free to share the shows on shout out to Deborah. All right, shout out to her watching. Y'all feel free to share the show on y'all social media feed, man. Big Q, Sports Coma, representing the mighty Who Dat Nation Hump Day. Of course, we'll be back on our Thursday stream to talk more about the black and gold. It's football time, baby. We up in this joint, man. It's football time. We got a little bit further to go before we get our first preseason game when the Saints touch down. But man, a lot of stuff going on positive. Offense trying to find its legs against a defense that made a shift. A lot of playmakers out there. I love what I see from Carl Granderson and Chase Young, and they switch there. I love what I see got going on with that. I like what I've seen from Justin Blackmon. All right, him and Reed in the back. I like what I'm seeing for Kool-Aid McKinstry and Alante Taylor. Still picking up it. Kelvin Banks Jr. is phenomenal. Love what I see from him in camp. A straight up natural Tolly handling his business. McCoy's temperament has changed. He become more aggressive in his approach because they know that the Saints are going to be counting on those guys to win. Trevor Penning showing improvement. Even Cesar Ruiz is also showing a decent temperament as well. So they got to crystallize the Saints offensive line, man, to be quite honest with you. And listen, Nugent, the offensive coordinator, is handling business. We still got a long way to go, but these steps are very positive, man, to be honest with you. What's up, Jason? Shout out to you, says the Rattler. That's right, brother. That's right, the Rattlesnake. All right, so in there, with that being said, man, I'm going to get out on that. Y'all do me a service. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. By all means, feel free to share the show on social media, man. The Patreon for our Patreon and YouTube membership family. The Patreon stream is up. We had some technical difficulties the other night. We had a storm that knocked out the internet, so I couldn't get the Tuesday stream uploaded, but it was recorded and uploaded and available. We broke down a lot of good game on that. Y'all check that out for our subscribers, for our YouTube membership and Patreon family. It is available right now. So anyway, with that being said, I am out of here. I'm going to holler at y'all on the next one. Much love, and with that to you. Peace.
like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. Thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your chain for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees are Roger Goodell. Yeah, money like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
WhoThatDaily.com. That's right, WhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com is your site. The WhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who That in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. So check out the Pro Shop and Who That too.